Hannibal Barca. The name still echoes with awe and terror, conjuring images of elephants lumbering over snow-capped mountains and legions scattered before his cunning. Born in Carthage, a powerful city-state in North Africa, Hannibal was destined for greatness.
From a young age, I instilled in Hannibal a deep hatred for Rome. He witnessed firsthand the humiliation of Carthage in the First Punic War. He saw the Roman legions, disciplined and relentless, chip away at our power.
This early exposure to the might of Rome, coupled with his father's influence, ignited a fire in Hannibal's heart. He vowed to avenge Carthage's defeat and reclaim its lost glory.
I swore an oath with my father Hamilcar to dedicate my life to avenging Carthage and restoring its honor.
Hannibal's education was tailored for a life of military command. He received rigorous training in strategy, tactics, and warfare, learning from the best military minds Carthage had to offer. But beyond mere technical skills, Hannibal possessed an innate military genius, a natural talent for deception, and a keen understanding of his enemies. Years passed, and Hannibal rose through the ranks of the Carthaginian military, proving himself a brilliant and ruthless commander in campaigns across Iberia, modern-day Spain. With each victory, his reputation grew, striking fear into the hearts of Rome and its allies. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the ancient world.
In 218 BC, the Second Punic War erupted, ignited by my audacious seizure of the Roman allied city of Saguntum. Rome, outraged by this act of aggression, declared war on Carthage, but they underestimated my audacity. Instead of engaging in a defensive war in Africa, I conceived a daring plan to take the war to Rome itself.
Assembling a formidable army, including war elephants, Hannibal embarked on a perilous journey across the Pyrenees Mountains, braving treacherous terrain and hostile tribes. His goal to invade Italy from the north, a move considered impossible by the Romans. This audacious maneuver caught Rome completely off guard, marking the beginning of one of the most daring military campaigns in history. The crossing of the Alps stands as a testament to Hannibal's leadership and the resilience of his army. The Roman historian Livy vividly describes the harrowing journey through icy passes, treacherous paths, and sudden ambushes by mountain tribes. The Carthaginian army, unaccustomed to the harsh conditions, faced freezing temperatures, dwindling supplies, and the constant threat of attack.
The sight of Carthaginian elephants lumbering through the snow-covered peaks instilled terror and awe in our hearts. We believed the Alps to be impassable.
Yet, my determination never wavered. Through sheer willpower and strategic brilliance, I rallied my troops, overcoming insurmountable odds. I adapted my tactics to the mountainous terrain, using cunning and deception to outmaneuver the enemy.
Despite suffering heavy losses during the crossing, Hannibal's arrival in Italy sent shockwaves through the Roman Republic. His audacious gamble had paid off. He had achieved the unthinkable, appearing on Roman soil, ready to unleash havoc upon the heart of the Roman world. Hannibal's arrival in Italy marked the beginning of a 16-year campaign that would test the limits of Roman resilience. He quickly won a series of victories at Trebia, Trasimene, and finally at Cannae in 216 BC, where he achieved one of the greatest military victories in history.
At Cannae, I faced a larger Roman army led by the consuls Lucius Aemilius Paulus and Gaius Terentius Varro. Outnumbered but not outmaneuvered, I employed a brilliant tactical masterpiece. I lured the Roman legions into a trap, using a feigned retreat to draw them into a crescent-shaped formation.
The trap sprang. Carthaginian cavalry routed the Roman flanks, encircling the legions. Trapped and compressed, the Roman army was slaughtered. Thousands perished, including Consul Paulus, in a massacre that sent shockwaves throughout the Roman world. Cannae became a byword for military brilliance, studied by strategists for centuries to come. Section 5, A Shadow over Italy. Following the triumph at Cannae, much of southern Italy allied with Hannibal, hoping to break free from Roman rule.
However, despite my string of victories, I lacked the resources to deliver a decisive blow to Rome itself.
The Romans, despite their losses, refused to surrender. They adopted a strategy of attrition, avoiding pitched battles with Hannibal's main force while engaging in skirmishes and retaking lost territories.
I faced my own set of challenges. My supply lines were stretched thin, and reinforcements from Carthage were slow to arrive. I became bogged down in a war of attrition, unable to capitalize on my early victories.
The Roman state, though wounded, proved more resilient than Hannibal anticipated.
Despite these setbacks, Hannibal remained a constant threat to Rome. He roamed freely throughout Italy for over a decade, his very presence a source of terror and uncertainty.
His strategic brilliance and tactical ingenuity continued to frustrate the Romans, who struggled to find an effective counter to his unconventional warfare. Section 6. Scipio Africanus, the Worthy Adversary. As the war dragged on, a new generation of Roman leaders emerged, determined to break the stalemate.
Among them was I, Scipio Africanus, a young and ambitious general who had witnessed firsthand the devastation wrought by Hannibal in Spain.
Scipio recognized the futility of confronting Hannibal directly in Italy. Instead, he proposed a bold counter-offensive, an invasion of Africa, striking at the heart of Carthage itself.
My plan was met with resistance from some in Rome who feared leaving the city vulnerable to Hannibal. However, my charisma and strategic vision won over the Senate.
He was given command of a Roman army and set sail for Africa, aiming to bring the war to Hannibal's doorstep and force him to defend his homeland. Section 7. The Sands of Zama. The Roman invasion of Africa forced Hannibal to abandon his long campaign in Italy and return to Carthage to defend his homeland.
In 202 BC, the two armies, led by two of the greatest military minds of the ancient world, met on the plains of Zama near Carthage.
The Battle of Zama would decide the fate of the Second Punic War and the future of the Mediterranean world.
At Zama, I turned Hannibal's tactics against him. I anticipated his use of elephants and deployed my legions in a manner that neutralized their charge.
The ensuing battle was a fierce and bloody clash of titans. Both commanders displayed their tactical brilliance, but it was Scipio who emerged victorious.
The defeat at Zama marked the end of my winning streak and sealed the fate of Carthage in the Second Punic War.
The Carthaginians were forced to surrender, accepting harsh peace terms that stripped them of their power and reduced them to a Roman vassal state. Section 8. Exile and Defiance. Despite his defeat at Zama, Hannibal's military genius continued to pose a threat to Rome.
I escaped capture and remained a respected figure in Carthage, working to rebuild the city and reform its government.
However, his efforts to revive Carthaginian power aroused the suspicion of Rome, who demanded his surrender.
Facing imminent arrest by the Romans, Hannibal chose exile over captivity.
He embarked on a journey across the Mediterranean, seeking refuge in various courts, hoping to rally opposition against Rome.
I eventually found a haven in the court of Antiochus III, the Seleucid king, who was engaged in a power struggle with Rome.
Even in exile, Hannibal's strategic mind remained sharp. He advised Antiochus on military matters, urging him to take a more aggressive stance against Rome.
However, my counsel was often ignored, and Antiochus ultimately suffered a decisive defeat at the hands of the Romans at the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BC.
Section 9. The Legacy of Hannibal. With the defeat of Antiochus, Hannibal became a hunted man once more.
I fled to the court of Prusias I, king of Bithynia, but Roman pressure eventually forced my hand.
Rather than face capture and humiliation at the hands of his enemies, Hannibal chose to end his own life.
In 183 BC, at the age of 62, I took poison, ending the life of one of the most brilliant military commanders in history.
Hannibal's legacy transcended his military defeats. He is remembered as a master tactician, a cunning strategist, and a fearless leader who challenged the might of Rome at its zenith.
My crossing of the Alps and my victory at Cannae are studied by military strategists to this day, testaments to my audacity and tactical brilliance.
More than just a great general, Hannibal embodies the spirit of resistance against seemingly insurmountable odds.
My unwavering determination, my strategic genius, and my ability to inspire my troops in the face of adversity continue to fascinate and inspire, solidifying my place as one of the most captivating figures in ancient history.
Section 10. Conclusion. Hannibal Barca's life was a tapestry woven with threads of brilliance, determination, and ultimately, tragedy. He was a product of his time, a warrior forged in the crucible of a bitter rivalry between two rising powers of the ancient world. His story is a reminder that even the most brilliant strategists and the most valiant warriors can be defeated by time, circumstance, and the relentless march of history. Yet Hannibal's story is not just a tale of defeat, but also of resilience, of the indomitable spirit that refuses to surrender, even when facing overwhelming odds. His legacy lives on not just in the annals of military history, but also in the hearts and minds of those who admire courage, determination, and the audacity to challenge the seemingly invincible.